Of all the red flags I've learned to detect, there's one that really makes my uh-oh radar go off, and that's when a grown-up man or woman says they never want to grow up. Now, maybe you've tried to date someone like that who doesn't want to grow up, or maybe one of your parents was like that, or maybe, and I hope I haven't offended you, you are someone like that. And I think I understand what people mean when they say they never want to grow up. What they mean is they want to feel carefree and authentic and not turn out bitter and burdened, like maybe a negative parent figure in their life. But if you're having a hard time creating happy, stable relationships, and if you're spending a lot of time broke or angry or disappointed with other people, or like you're unfairly rejected and overlooked, I want to help you detect if it might be possible that childhood trauma has actually kept you stuck in some old childhood mindsets, and whether that might be blocking you from having functional and equal relationships with the people in your life. Now, like a lot of you, I had to grow up really fast in some respects. I was exposed to a lot of things that kids are not supposed to see. Grown-ups using drugs, hitting, sexual stuff, a kitchen with no food in it half the time, and I had to help with childcare, sometimes late at night because no adults were in the house. And long before I was even a teenager, if I wanted any money, I had to earn it myself, even for basic stuff sometimes like clothes and food and taking art classes at the community center. So I started a whole series of little kid businesses to pay for that. And there have been good sides of that that made me stronger. But the funny thing is, what they call growing up fast is not really growing up. It's toughness, but it's not maturity. And so that's why I sometimes call childhood PTSD a kind of developmental delay. That term usually refers to a long timeline for learning to talk and walk and read. But those of us with childhood PTSD, we sometimes have a long timeline to develop emotional maturity. We can be hugely street smart, but still a little vague on how to take responsibility for the direction of our lives. Some of us stay in a never-ending battle with our parents, for example, like an extended adolescence where we're trying to get them to see how hurtful they were and make right what they did. Or we try to drag from them the approval and the love that never came while we were kids. And healing from that is part of maturation too. It's hard, but it doesn't have to take a lifetime. It starts by just opening up your mind to the possibility that the hurt kid in you is compromising the adult who you need to be today. So how would you know if this were happening? Well, there are a few markers of adulthood, and we can start by asking questions about those. So the first question is, do you have an identity that is independent of your parents or their influence? Now, we might choose to live in a similar way to our parents, same values, same affiliations with churches or politics, and there's nothing wrong with that. But part of adulthood is that we find what we really believe and how we really want to participate in the world, even if it's different. And it doesn't have to be done with anger or criticism of our parents. You might have criticisms, but now that you're an adult, you're free, and they're free. Everyone gets to be themselves. Some of us stay in a childlike state through dependence on parents, whether it's for money or a place to live or just emotionally. We're very caught up from day to day in what they did, what they said, how they judged us or disapproved of us in the past or last week. And if you're holding on to that stuff and it's affecting whether you can be happy or not today, I'd say the child in you is blocking you from a full adulthood. You can spend your whole life very focused on those hurts, but to start enjoying the freedoms of adulthood, it's important to start facing not just what happened, but your own limitations that may be connected to that. It's not your fault that you got hurt as a kid. But today, if you want to start having good, real, fulfilling connections to other people, you've got to climb up out of that identity of a person at war with the past. Still, a lot of us get stuck in the psychological bonds and beliefs that what happened in the past still dictates who we are now. And it can be this never-ending fantasy that it's the parents who have to do something so that we can get free, even when we're 30, 40, 50 years old. We think they have to apologize, or they have to acknowledge what they did, or they have to help us get on our feet because the trauma was so debilitating. And that's a war where whether you win or lose, you lose. There's a tiny chance your parents will change or give you the love that they couldn't in the past, or the acknowledgement. If they do, it will be through some shift in their own hearts, and almost certainly not because of pressure from you. So fake apologies never hit the spot, right? Fake apologies feel bad. The miracle that you're really looking for is the one in here, where you're free of what happened and you start making the happy life you deserve. For a few people, that means cutting ties with parents. But for most people, that's not necessary. When you have less fear and resentment, and in my courses, I teach exactly how to do that, the free course, Daily Practice. When you have less resentment and fear about it, you have more flexibility to enjoy people who used to just piss you off. And maybe they still do, but it doesn't have to, control you. It doesn't have to press you down or drive you out the door or cause you to yell and get into a big conflict. You can just go, yep, there they go again. And I'll be honest with you, everyone likes you better when you put down that sword. When you stop trying to make anyone apologize or compensate or validate you or change in any way. They are who they are, and we are who we are. We can make requests, but we can't force change, and that's a core meaning of what it is to be an adult. We work on ourselves. So adults have freedom to change or not change and to create their own identity distinct from their parents. That's a very powerful freedom. There are the simple freedoms of doing what you like, behaving how you like. You don't have to be polite or cooperative even, as long as you follow the law. You can wear t-shirts that say the F word on them. You control people on the internet. You can eat junk food all day if you want. And if people in your life don't like it, you can push them away. And that's a certain kind of freedom that comes with adulthood that I call casual freedom. But it's not the kind I'm suggesting you stretch out of your comfort zone to obtain. What I'm really talking about is the kind of freedom that comes with a cost, and that always entails responsibility. This includes adult privileges like having sex, earning money, creating a home, forming a partnership or even a family, serving your community. If you long for those things, but you can't seem to have them, then it could be that the child in you is controlling the adult in you. And it might be time to take a step up into the responsibilities and the freedom that comes with setting the past behind you and blossoming as your full autonomous grown-up self. I think consciously we all want that, but what can happen with childhood PTSD is we're not doing what it would take to get there. It feels like too much. It's just too much. The responsibility is exhausting just to think about it. And what if you try but fail? What if you succeed but then make some mistakes and all those eyes are on you? What if your childhood PTSD symptoms overwhelm you but you've taken some big job now and you don't have the option anymore to just stay in bed all morning or get in your car and drive all night to get away from it all? You can't flat out avoid whatever was too painful to face. That's what a commitment is. So everybody feels this way, like they want to run sometimes, especially people with childhood PTSD. But the quest to avoid that triggered feeling takes too much away from you. There comes a time when what happened in the past, it just doesn't explain all the problems anymore. Some of them, sure. Sure, we have obstacles. We can be socially awkward. We have money problems. A lot of us missed out on a full education. We've got health issues. We've got depression or ADHD. We don't know the right people. We don't know how you're supposed to act in a job or on a date. And that's real. And it's not our fault that we grew up in that void. But you know what? We can learn. Every day we spend throwing up our hands in helplessness is a day wasted. You want to know how to do a job interview? You can get on YouTube. That's what I did. You can do it right now. Read a book on dating or take my online course on dating. It's for people with childhood PTSD. That's always right there down in the links. Don't just give up on yourself. Don't just blame other people for blocking you like there's never been a time in history when you had access to this much information. Your instinct for self-protection has served you very well. You made it. But right now, it's keeping you from becoming your real self. So now you can protect yourself in a new and better way by opening up those capacities and practicing and learning and reaching for those milestones of adulthood: work, financial independence, learning, social participation, intimate relationships, family, if that's your heart's desire. Now, there's no guarantee that you'll achieve all those things in your life or that you'll handle the responsibility without a few bumps in the road, right? But don't let your good self collapse into bitterness and helplessness. You can reach for your own freedom. You are made to grow and take your place among the strong people who lift up people's lives all over the world. It's hard, and it takes emotional courage, and it's going to be triggering sometimes. But even when you fall short of your goals, it's the journey of trying. That's what makes life fun and real. So if you love this topic and you're ready to blossom, I've got this video lined up for you right here. It's all about raising your self-esteem, and I will see you very soon.